Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, Huge congrats on the film. I just love the fact that it kind of takes, so much of like a classic comedy, but it feels so kind of relevant to today as well. And this kind of underlying message of, following your dreams and not sort of being put off by the hurdles that seem to be in front of you. I understand you sort of took the inspiration of this kind of milestone of there being gender parity in this NASA class. So tell us a bit about the roots of the story and why you wanted to tell it.
Sure. Well, I had seen a few years ago that NASA finally had this class of astronaut candidates where it was a 50-50 gender mix. And I was intrigued by that. I was kind of saddened that it had taken so long, but also I think the idea of who these women in this class were was really intriguing to me, like how brave and accomplished they would have to be stepping into this historically male space, not just NASA, but STEM generally. And so I just started to research what it took to be one of these people and was amazed by how incredibly difficult it is to even be considered by NASA to be able to be considered. And I grew up with all of these very competitive, accomplished young women who were my friends, who are now accomplished women. And I felt like I wanted to make a movie where you got to see versions of that, not women competing for a man, but women competing for professional accomplishments. And I think I loved that world, but then I wanted the heroine to be someone who, I guess, who I could relate to more. I'm not ferociously competitive. I'm not sort of prestige oriented. And it's more fun for me to write someone who doesn't care about ticking off accomplishments on her resume, but someone who's really driven by a passion the way I'm driven by a passion in my career. And I also was so influenced by Legally Blonde and the idea that women's intelligence, when it's paired with sort of more feminine traits, can be overlooked. If women are kind of playing the part of being more of like a jock or a dude, then maybe they're taken more seriously. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted a heroine who was unmistakably female and who didn't know how to pretend to be a more serious version of herself. She just was who she was. And I wanted that to be the key to her success.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, that's the amazing thing about Rex. I mean, she's kind of a bit messy. She's very fun. But she's also really smart and, is able to kind of work on her instincts in a way that, kind of is really enjoyable to watch. And particularly, the way Emma plays her. I mean, I know she was also on board as executive producer. So I wonder, how did you work with Emma? I mean, she lights up every scene that she's
Right.
in, and she's kind of not afraid to lean
No.
into a lot of the physical comedy as well. What was it like building this character with her?
She immediately understood the character on the page. Like she knew that she could do this, that she could be this character. And she also understood what the movie was. She understood that we wanted to do like Goldie Hawn, Private Benjamin, and she was game for that. And Emma's just naturally incredibly funny. She's just very quick. She has amazing instincts and she can do all sorts of things in her career. But this broad comedy thing was something that she wanted to lean into for this movie. And so for me, it was just a pleasure to be like, that weird thing that you just did in that take, do it again or do it weird or don't worry. This is the movie that we're making. And her instincts just really led us to the right place, I think.
And so many great moments. Did you have a favorite? I mean, from like the karaoke bar and, the calls that are going between Nadine and Logan. And then, the bits in space. What was your favorite bit?
I know. I mean, it's hard to choose because like Tom Hopper was so brilliant. He was so incredibly funny. And it was like watching Hugh Grant or something. And that day became my favorite. But then watching Emma on up on the stunt wires in space, dancing in that space suit, like maybe that was my favorite moment. There were a lot of them.
Thanks so much for sharing that and really huge congrats. It's such a brilliant
Thank
fun movie.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye.